And today we find ourselves here presenting the near 99%, hopefully, completed strategic plan. Oh. Is there? Is there?
Just hit the down key on the keyboard.
Oh, perfect.
Click on the.
Oh.
First, you have to hit the escape.
So first, I need a lesson in technology.
We're all good.
Thanks for your patience. So we'll begin by presenting the vision, mission, and guiding principles. And as council know, you've had significant opportunity to provide input into this. It's been very much appreciated. I think where we've landed is reflective of the input that's been received, and as Anna Marie indicated, both the leadership and the courage of council to ensure that this truly is a reflection not just of council and staff's vision, but of the community vision as well. So the vision statement is being presented as Waterloo is an equitable community that leads the world in learning, discovery, and caring. It's followed by the mission statement, which reflects the reason why the municipality as a corporation exists. The corporation of the City of Waterloo is committed to supporting sustainable growth, equity, and an inclusive, vibrant community through the delivery of service excellence. We are supported in this effort through a team of volunteers, staff, and elected officials that share a commitment to fiscal responsibility, healthy and safe workplace, effective engagement, and personal leadership. To support the implementation and continued decision-making of council and staff, there's a series of guiding principles, some reflective of the previous strategy, and as council will recognize, the addition and language changes in several others. So to walk through those guiding principles, beginning with equity and inclusion, each principle is followed by a statement and a clarity definition so that there is no interpretation that may not necessarily reflect where the guiding principle was intended to go. So for equity and inclusion, we work to ensure a sense of belonging, acceptance, and value for all in our community. The aim of equity is to ensure that everyone has access to equal opportunity and benefits. This principle recognizes that treating everyone equitably requires an acknowledgement of unique circumstances and taking steps to eliminate systemic barriers. An inclusive city is one that recognizes the values, differences, and diversity in planning, decision-making, and service delivery. Sustainability is our second guiding principle. All actions and decisions are evaluated through a lens of environmental, social, and economic sustainability. Sustainability refers to the concept of meeting present needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Sustainability considers environmental impact as well as impact on social and economic resources. Following is fiscal responsibility. We will act in accordance with good governance best practices to ensure effective management of our financial resources. Fiscal responsibility entails operating within a framework of policies and processes intended to improve fiscal outcomes and support longer-term financial health in an environment of transparency and objective measurement. Healthy and safe workplace. We are committed to providing a healthy and safe work environment for all employees of the municipality. A healthy and safe workplace begins with a commitment to offer an environment that promotes a sense of physical and psychological well-being, a sense of personal accomplishment that comes from a job well done, and recognition of contribution to the corporate vision. Effective engagement. Through diverse communication and outreach efforts, we will ensure that our community is informed of and has the opportunity to be engaged in conversations and decisions that shape our community. Effective engagement is the result of an ongoing commitment to dialogue, transparency, and the development of strong relationships that are grounded in trust and open communication. Effective engagement seeks to engage people who might not otherwise get involved. It is accessible to people of all abilities and backgrounds and helps to build a sense of ownership and contribution to the community. Personal leadership. Employees of the City of Waterloo are supported to demonstrate personal leadership in the performance of their role. Personal leadership is exemplified by agents of positive change who are passionate about growing themselves and those around them to achieve success. The City of Waterloo is committed to supporting its employees and volunteers to develop and demonstrate the qualities of leadership that enhance effectiveness, efficiency, and the delivery of service excellence. Service excellence. We are committed to providing exceptional service that meets the needs of citizens, stakeholders, and employees of the city. Through a commitment to service excellence, the City of Waterloo will create and reinforce an internal and external culture that is founded on responsiveness and is customer-centric. Embedded in this principle are service standards, performance measurements, and a commitment to continuous improvement. Moving to the strategic themes and priorities. These are being presented, as you can see, with a pillar that's been identified, the goal statement, again, which offers clarity of interpretation, and strategic objectives. So the first pillar identified, and again, these are not in any specific order, equity, inclusion, and a sense of belonging. The goal is to strengthen Waterloo as a diverse and inclusive community. The definition or clarity in creating a city that supports a strong sense of belonging and access to opportunity for all, we recognize that our operations, programs, and approach to service delivery should consider circumstances and solutions to respond to systemic barriers. As you can see presented, there are 5 strategic objectives which are directed towards strategic approaches for the implementation of this particular pillar towards achieving our goal. The 5, as you see reflected here, implement strategies and tactics that strengthen the engagement of and all ages. Sorry, that should just say of all ages. And support an enhanced sense of belonging within the community. Incorporate best practices to maximize inclusion within all city business, operations, and service delivery. Address the needs of an aging population through responsive development, programming, and communication strategies. And you may recall following the last discussion that there were a couple of additions that were identified as being strategic and important. Focus on the economic disparity in our community by ensuring all work considers the impact, ensuring our work considers the impacts of this gap, and respond to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's call for action for municipalities. The second pillar, sustainability and the environment, with the goal to transform Waterloo to be an environmentally, economically, and socially sustainable community. The clarity, the City of Waterloo is committed to environmental, economic, and social sustainability. It recognizes its leadership role in minimizing its environmental impact, prudently managing financial resources considering current and future needs, and creating processes, systems, and relationships that promote social sustainability and actively contribute to a healthy and livable communities. The strategic objectives to achieve this is apply sustainability lens on all services and projects and enable bold local actions to address the climate change crises. Third, safe and sustainable transportation with a goal to improve all modes of transportation to make Waterloo more mobile, accessible, and connected. Safe, sustainable transportation exists when all users and all modes of transportation are able to share roadways and the trail system safely. When traffic speeds respect the safety of the community, when policy and planning supports the development and maintenance of sustainable infrastructure, and when more residents are able to rely on sustainable modes of transportation, such as public transit or active transportation, to get where they need to go. Strategic objectives to achieve this: adopt Vision Zero practices and tactics to enable safe travel by all modes of transportation, and to facilitate a modal shift, enable increased use of active transportation and public transit. The next pillar, healthy community and resilient neighborhoods, with a goal to position Waterloo as a strong and resilient community. Investing in the capacity of people to work together to resolve challenges and maximize opportunities helps to build healthy, resilient neighborhoods that collectively form our community. The city is committed to continuously creating and improving physical and social environments and to enhancing resources to foster collaboration, community pride, healthy neighborhoods, and a strong community. 3 strategic objectives: increase the amount of affordable housing in the city, create and maintain safe, accessible, and vibrant public spaces that promote opportunities for diverse use, support the arts and culture community to enhance Waterloo's quality of place. The next pillar, infrastructure renewal, with a goal to focus on infrastructure needs through effective planning and engagement. Careful future-focused planning ensures that the city can respond to infrastructure needs today and into the future, ensuring that the city maintains existing infrastructure while planning for new growth and development. There's a series of 4 strategic objectives: optimize usage and efficiency of existing facilities and assets, dedicate appropriate resources to plan, renew, and maintain existing infrastructure, develop engagement strategies that effectively communicate and balance community priorities with operational and financial realities, and address the infrastructure deficit. Last and certainly not least, economic growth and development, with a goal to foster a robust and diversified economy. With the goal of economic growth and development is to create a diverse economy that works for all, where all can work. The city is committed to placing emphasis on fostering job growth that maximizes opportunities within the local labor market through the provision of employment that aligns supply and demand. And 3 strategic objectives: actively attract and nurture innovation among businesses to fuel a diverse economy, align economic development and job growth with community development objectives that address economic disparity, celebrate the connection with education partners to fully leverage growth opportunities. Mr. Mayor, perhaps I'll stop there before we talk to next steps, and happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? You want to continue on? Councillor Vasek has one. What a surprise. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Through you, Mayor. I don't know what Anna Marie has been wonderful at going back and forth with me with like 8 million questions, and I appreciate all of the work. I love all this work, and so I'm sorry to be adding in a thought at this final hour. But it's because I've had some more conversations, I've read more documents, I'm new, so I'm just being exposed to all this stuff. And so the one new thing I've been exposed to is this idea that that sustainability includes social, economic, as well as environmental and cultural. So the arts and culture piece can also fit within sustainability. And so I'm just wondering whether it fits in the strategic plan, curious about all your thoughts, in the sustainability piece, or whether it comes in the implementation phase, and it very well might, and that is a legitimate response moving forward. But I feel like if I didn't bring it up, I would feel really badly, because I read it as a document through the culture. The culture plan says that's what it should be, and that was full of consultation, and that's a document from quite a long time ago. And then I've had conversations that are saying that as well. So I would feel like I can't quite vote on it if I didn't bring it up as food for thought for all of us.
Can you ask which slide would you like to go back to? The sustainability slide?
The sustainability lens one. I think it's a second. So it would say, transform Waterloo to be an environmentally, economically, socially, and culturally sustainable community. I mean, it's food for thought for us, I guess, is really my question. And I realize it's the 9th hour. I have
No, this is the right time.
Yeah, okay.
Tomorrow's not, so today is. Anne-Marie, do you want to give any thoughts on that?
So corporately, when we set out to define sustainability, because in general, sustainability is still quite a new concept for our organization. The term in general was coined in '94 through the Brundtland Commission and really focused on sustainable development. And so like any concept, it evolves and grows. The federal government does indeed have 4 pillars. When in 2016, I brought forward the definition of sustainability for the organization, the question was raised. I remember it was Jeff Henry who asked about a 4th pillar. And so, yes, there can be this 4th pillar as you've described. So to give some kind of shed light onto where we are and how we got there through the sustainability focus and the work that was done in 2016. We interviewed 100 staff in collaboration with UW. There was a group of students who met with staff to specifically identify how they saw sustainability. So through those interviews, we did get a pretty good understanding. And the pillar that they least related to or saw a connection with sustainability was the social pillar in general. So there was the least amount of traction and understanding about the what we'd call the triple bottom line. Perhaps that was where their least sense of understanding was, and so that I think is noteworthy. When we moved forward with the definition, the sense was that there was some traction within the organization for the triple bottom line, as well as some of the advisory committee specifically. So we looked to what we could leverage and where we could move from most skillfully, recognizing that sustainability was still a new concept in the organization. So that was really the launch pad. The report was brought to council in 2016 as part of 2016-008 out of community service. And that's how the definition came to be. I think at that time we saw culture and anything else that term may capture as being a part of and embedded in the social pillar. And the description that I had offered in the past was, in a sense, it could be seen as saying vegetation and trees. Trees are intrinsically a part of vegetation. There could be value in specifically identifying culture, and if we did, it may be in the perhaps in the goal statement itself.
Yeah, I think
think-
that's good. Can you just go to the slide that mentions culture in it for me?
Oh, there it is.
I just want to read that again. I don't think there's anything wrong with your suggestion. I think it's a decent suggestion for that one spot. Whether it comes from Councillor Bodley? Yeah.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Jaworski. So, I mean, I'm happy you brought up the triple bottom line concept, because that when I read it, that was kind of how I looked at it, was through a triple bottom line sort of approach. It's the definition for triple bottom line essentially, and I'm trying to, as much as I'm very much in favor of the arts and culture community, I'm just curious whether this is the appropriate place for us to be tackling it, or whether it makes more sense in the healthy community section. Because even like if we go look down further into the sustainable development goals, there isn't really an SDG that super aligns that I can see with arts and culture. And there's a lot of other SDGs that reference other things that it sort of extend the definition of sustainability. So as much as I don't think, we're quibbling, I guess, over a word here that I don't think is necessarily I wouldn't be frustrated if it went in, and I wouldn't be disappointed if it didn't. I kind of think it belongs more in the in the healthy community section myself, because I'd personally see sustainability as focusing on these three pieces myself.
Yeah, through to Councillor Bonagor. It also depends on what definition you use of culture, like arts and culture. But if I think about the culture of our Indigenous people, or our people who are Mennonite background, I might argue that they have an environmentally sustainable lifestyle and understand Mother Earth, and it might have a lens there. But Councillor Bonagor.
Through you, Mayor Jaworski, I think that taps into part of the opacity of that term. So I would agree with Councillor Bodley. I think I'm more comfortable with culture being kept in healthy communities. My fear would be that adding culture into the sustainability piece, to me, I fear that we start to become top-down in how if we're trying to protect and make sure a culture is sustainable. I think we can do that by supporting a community and having their culture flourish. So I think by keeping that reference in the healthy community section as opposed to the sustainability pillar, I think that puts the city more in a supportive role. So if we support the community and we have a socially sustainable city, then ideally, and we have healthy communities, then culture can flourish. So it's not us dictating it, it's supporting something that needs to be nurtured. So that's where my reading comes in.
A few more thoughts, Councillor Henry, maybe Councillor Henry.
Thank you. On this one with sustainability, and then I have others, so I can wait till later if we comment on this one. I too like the idea of having the cultural pulled out somewhere. I do agree it fits with the healthy communities. And as I'm looking at the work that you've put before us, I'm wondering if calling cultural out specifically in the definition of the goal might be helpful, and where it seems to fit to me is in the second sentence. And then it brings it to more than just an objective. It says it's a cultural, from a heritage standpoint, that we might be looking at. So improving physical, cultural, and social environments would call it out for me.
Councillor Henry.
I think that's a reasonable place for the addition. Since I was named for having raised this a number of years ago through the culture plan, I thought I should provide context. At the time, I was a liaison to the advisory committee on culture during the development of the culture plan. The chair of the Advisory Committee on Culture also had significant involvement at a provincial level in trying to entrench 4 pillars of culture in all things provincial and policy statements. And so certainly it got attention at the committee. And as we're building a culture plan, saying the word culture as many times as possible made a lot of sense. Having been further exposed to a lot of the sustainability literature through my research work and coursework in the planning department, I echo what Anna Marie had pointed to in terms of the origin of the term, the triple bottom line. There's a lot in the planning literature as well that focuses in that way. And cultural is seen as a critical part of a broader social set of lens. And so there is, I would say, not unanimity in the literature, but there is, if there is, it's in the other way, not here. That the wide body of it focuses on the 3 traditional pillars. And I'd echo, Councillor Bodley's, thoughts around concerns around putting it in, pulling it back up. For me, it would mean that would suggest we ought to pull things that are elsewhere forward into that to be able to make sure it means something. Because if we don't have anything underneath it, then that's a problem of alignment. And I like the plan as it is oriented and developed, and I wouldn't want to start pulling it apart to try to make the wording feel comfortable for me, like there was enough under it to be able to deal with the word. So I think Councillor Hanmer's suggestion in the second sentence up here fits and works and should help make sure that it's up and well identified.
Any final thoughts, Councillor Vasic? Or yeah, please.
Well, I think this is the first time that I'm going to have to step back and be agree to disagree, which is okay. I still like all of you. But I will provide a bit more rationale just to, have my piece, I guess. And I think, okay, one more thing, yeah. So in terms of it being watered down, I feel pretty good that it wouldn't be, because as an example, if you add a cultural element to, one great example would be Indigenous nations and people who live here. I think another example would be if we're applying a sustainability lens to a new development going in, for example, and we talk about culture, we might be prompted more likely to say, okay, what does the public art policy say about this? What might public art look like here? And you could draw on healthy and community resilient neighborhoods to have that conversation too, but it would just add a little bit of a different lens where we were embedding arts and culture into the building, which is such a big part of what we do. And I just went to FCM and I was in Quebec, and it's beautiful. The buildings are beautiful. Of course, it's an old community or an old city, right? So they have that as well. But there was something really stunning about the investment and heart that they put into the arts and culture. So I guess that's another important piece I was thinking about. And I think it is our role to dictate what matters to us. So not how it's done in terms of I don't mean to pick on you, sorry, I very much like you still too. But I do think it is our job to say the words that matter to us and to put them into the community. And so I think arts and culture is still good there. But maybe this is 2022 where we just put arts and culture right at the top, because it can do all these things. It can build healthy and sustainable communities. It promotes equity and inclusion, and it promotes economic strength. And so anyways, see you in 4 years, guys.
To staff, do you need to hear again what Councillor Hanmer had as the one line? Are you good with that?
Yes, so in order to make changes, what we will be asking for is a motion with the particular language, and then
my passion for volunteers. And I think we missed, you've included them in a couple of spots, but I think we've missed in 2. And specifically the health and safety workplace. And it's all it is inserting the word volunteer where you've got employees and volunteers. And the second place is in personal leadership. So for that statement, I would suggest that we environment for all employees and volunteers of the municipality. And then again, in personal leadership, same thing.
Further questions before we move on? Councillor? we're going to go to the next steps after, but if you have comments on what you've heard so far. Okay. We're good? Okay, we're good. And that'll be something you'll want to see in the motion as well, the volunteers? Okay. Keep writing.
Thank you very much. So moving on to the discussion regarding next steps. At the end of council's decision to adopt the strategy as presented with the changes, the strategy then really, the building of the strategy, the creation of the strategy is now a completed exercise, and we now move towards the implementation of the strategy itself. And it is at that point that, of course, staff plays a significantly important role through the development of their business planning as well as their identification of budget requirements targeted towards the specific actions or tactics that staff will identify in order to advance each of the strategic priorities that are outlined in the strategy document. The next step, of course, is also performance measures and ensuring that the appropriate performance measures have been identified as it relates back to the specific actions that will emerge through the business planning process. So staff will be engaging in both the business planning process as well as the identification of appropriate performance measures to present to council for consideration and approval. So on behalf of MDB Insight, on behalf of myself and Margot Begin, my colleague, who unfortunately was traveling and not able to join us today to celebrate the presentation of the final strategic plan, I just want to offer my sincere thanks and congratulate you on what was a very comprehensive consultative process that I think has landed the City of Waterloo with a very strong strategy moving it forward over the next 3 years. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you for helping our team on that. Now, we do have questions. Councillor Bonagor, Councillor Bodley. Okay.
Through you, Mayor Jaworski, thank you. I just had, so I'm going to drilling down a tiny little bit. So when I was looking at the dashboard monitoring, so there's one reference. It's on page 22 of the report, which is page 64 of the packet for people playing along at home. It's the active transportation segment. And I'm just curious about one of the metrics. One of the metrics being measured for active transportation looks at kilometres of infrastructure. I'm wondering if we can add something in here about connectivity of infrastructure as well, so that it's not just counting the kilometres, but we're also making sure it connects and is fully functional and usable. Is it possible to add something in like that?
Yeah, through you, Chair Jaworski. So these metrics